as far as Kobe go, man, he was super cool. Fuck, he gonna be mad at me for this. But look, we had a blowout. We got blew out in Portland. And he came in the locker room and he was like, from now on out, every time down the court, I touch the ball. Y'all gonna learn what it's like to play with Kobe Bean fucking Bryant. And I'm sitting there looking like,
okay.
Oh, this motherfucker serious. Like, look, and so Nick Young, playful ass. Nick walk in the locker room talking about, y'all better throw that motherfucker the ball or it's gonna be some shit around here. So, like, Nick never took anything serious, though.
Yeah.
But we had just got the shit kicked out of us and Cole wasn't going for it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so I just think mentally, like, he meant that shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I just think at that point his body just didn't give him what he wanted.
That Mamba mentality. So before I go further, Rodney, kind of give the audience a insight into the Mamba mentality and how this whole conversation here came about.
Well, I was thinking about the Mamba mentality as the media kept talking about Kobe and his untimely passing, which was sad. But it got me looking back on the marketing of his image and the Mamba mentality, and juxtapose that with the comparisons between him and LeBron James.
Yeah.
And I started talking to my friends and family members about, who they thought was better, Kobe or LeBron. And what's funny, the first thing people would say is Kobe, and I would ask them why, and their first comment was the mentality.
Right.
I was like, wow. And it was consistent, young and old. I asked who's better and why. It never fails. Kobe's better because of this mentality. So I started looking into this mentality and into Kobe and his behavior as a player. And it seemed like Mamba mentality means being ultra selfish, all about you and hurting whoever is in your way to get what you individually want. So I think Mamba mentality is just repackaged individualism sold back to us to hurt our community.
Okay. And so what's interesting is you have the juxtaposition of Kobe Bryant and LeBron, and of course you could put Jordan in that as well.
Yeah.
Because that mentality, Kobe Bryant emulated the Michael Jordan mentality. He emulated his game, and we heard stories about Michael Jordan punching Steve Kerr in the eye and all the different things. Basically, the mentality made you an asshole, basically. As opposed to LeBron, who is seen as soft and a nice guy. And the mentality is, if you are not this tyrant, especially as a Black athlete, if you're not this tyrant, then you're not good. Especially like with coaches, because I use the juxtaposition of Tony Dungy and John Gruden. John Gruden was a very, very, very fiery, I'm a cuss you out coach. Tony Dungy wasn't. They both got Super Bowl rings though. So, but let's go further into this mentality though, this individualism. Like, so how did you connect?
Can I say something before you move on to that point?
Go ahead.
You know what? I ain't gonna mess up your flow. I can hold it.
No, I was just gonna ask how did you connect Mamba mentality to individualism?
Because everything was about Kobe, and I've listened to clips of like Gary Payton say that Kobe wasn't selfish, and his reasoning was, if he was selfish, why did he come to me and ask me, how can I get better as a person, as a defender, as a scorer? He didn't say, how can I make my teammates better? If you listen to any clips, he never asked, how can I be a better leader to get more out of my teammates? It's all about, how can I get better as an individual? Everything he does is for himself. It's not to better the team. So that's why I connected it to individualism.
Gotcha.
Because go ahead.
No.
Finish. I was going to say too, another thing that I looked into is like when you talk about that killer instinct, that goes into that mentality. Well, if you have that, you're going to be more susceptible to taking hero shots, which are bad shots. And this is why his shooting percentage in his career is 40%, because you're going to take more of these shots, which hurts your team. And just playing basketball in my life, I know if you have a dominant force like a Shaq, you want to feed him, because if you
Right.
feed him, you get more open shots. But if you
Right.
got this Mamba mentality, he's in his first or second year, and purposely in the interviews you hear him saying he's not throwing Shaq the ball. How is that a team player? I just don't get it.
Gotcha. So in transition to real life, if you have Mamba mentality in real life, you most likely are practicing rugged individualism, correct?
Yes.
Right. And so, like you said, if you're translating what Kobe said to Gary Payton to everyday life, so how can I get better for myself rather than how can I get better for my community?
Yes.
Because I want the money, I want the improvement, I want the accolades, I want all these things. I don't necessarily care about the people around me.
Facts.
Yeah.
Which
So
ties into capitalism.
no, you know what's interesting though, but because this extends beyond Black men, to be honest, because rugged individualism is rampant in the Black community. So I've said it before. I can't remember which podcast I've talked about it, but there's a show on Netflix called The Trust,
Mm-hmm.
and the trust basically is everybody got to trust each other, basically. So 11 people go in this house, and if all 11 people are able to make it out at the end, each person gets $22,000. So all y'all got to do is be cool, and everybody wins. A group thing, everybody wins. But guess who we can say had the Mamba mentality? Guess who? The Black women. The first one said that they gonna stab everybody in the back and try to come home with the most amount of money was the Black woman. Rugged individualism. So that's why I say it extends beyond the men, because I just thought about that, and both the Black women are basically trying to scheme against everybody in the house to make sure they can get the most amount of money. And one of them don't even know the other one gonna stab her in the back at the end if she need to, if they make it that far, right? But it's rugged individualism. So, in your opinion, why is rugged individualism harmful to our community?
Because you'll do anything for your own personal gain, even to the detriment of your group, your family, your community. You'll do anything, regardless if it hurts those around you, even if you love them.
Right. So that makes me think about what Dr. Claude Anderson talks about: mandatory is manumission.
Mm-hmm.
You know, hey, I do whatever to get this money. I do whatever to get this goal. I do whatever for the fame. I do whatever for the clout. I do whatever I need to do, even if it means stepping on everybody else. And well, that made me think about the when you go sit down on Shannon Sharp's show. You know, the rugged. We're gonna have stories about, alleged stories about rugged individualism from both sides, and it's just right now it's really, really, really exposed in our community. This idea of I have to take care of me above all, and if I win, that's good enough. But individual, we've said this in our breakdowns on Friday. Individual power emanates from group power.
Yes. Dr. Amos Wilson talks about that.
Right.
Yeah, and I've had this argument with my high school students, and I told them, don't you understand that if you want whatever it is you want as an individual, whatever you want for your individual mother or father, don't you realize you would have it if your group had it?
Right. I mean, because they talk about old money.
Yeah.
Old money is a group thing.
That's a group thing.
But also, relating it back to basketball, did Kobe Bryant have more success as far as winning titles when he played more as an individual or when he played more as a teammate?
As a team.
Because after Shaq, Kobe had a lot of rough years after Shaq. Until Pau Gasol, Lamar Odom, and those guys. But now I did hear Kobe talk about he didn't trust his teammates. So if you don't trust your teammates, that's one or two things, because that can come from either end. So I'm gonna ask this question: as a leader, or as the one with the exceptional talent, if you have people around you that you don't trust, and those people aren't showing you any behavior patterns to prove that you should trust them, how do you help the team get better?
Pose that question again.
So you have like Kobe. Kobe had teammates he didn't trust.
Right.
And so like the days when they had what's your boy?
Smush Parker and all of them.
Yeah. And what's the other young kid?
He had Jeremy Lin one year.
Yeah. That team that he went down and told all on they were trash and took off the shoes and stuff. So he didn't trust them at all.
Mm-hmm.
But it also seems as if he didn't trust them because he didn't believe they wanted to get better.
Yeah. Yes, I do want to talk about that.
So if you're in that situation, how do you help that team get better that is showing you that they don't want to get better?
Oh, so wait a minute, you making an argument that you think his teammates did not want to
get better? No. I'm not saying that. I'm just asking that question. Like if you're in that situation, what can be done to help motivate those teammates to want to get better? Just hypothetically, if you're in that situation.
You say if we're Kobe,
right?
Then we don't act like Kobe.
Okay.
We don't act. There's no way, because it's just like we're on our job. The more we isolate ourselves from our coworkers, the less we talk to them, the less they're going to have motivation to put in any extra effort, which will be needed to get better at that job and be more productive. It's the same on the football field or the court. If your so-called leader can't talk to you, can't try to inspire you, and doesn't act like he doesn't trust you, then why would I put in any extra effort?
Okay.
It doesn't make any sense to me.
So so I didn't play basketball. I was a football guy. Mm-hmm. So from the basketball standpoint, because I know what I would do from football, from basketball standpoint. If you were in that situation, that hypothetical situation, you don't necessarily have to be Kobe, but you're the leader, you're the exceptional talent. The talent around you is showing you that they don't want to get better. What steps would you take to it? Because you just said, but
if they're showing me they don't want to get better, then we got to have some team meetings. We got to figure out why. Okay. I got to figure out, what can I do? I'm not going to be like Kobe and separate myself and call them trash and publicly humiliate them, and in their face tell them that I'm not going to deal with them. There's no way I'm acting like that. Gotcha. Because they're humans. They got a life like Kobe or like us. So there's something going on that can be done. You don't lead that way.
Well, yeah. You have to I would find an alternative way to reach them because, well, hindsight, now we have a chance to look back. It didn't work. The Kobe way didn't work because those teams didn't win. And Kobe either didn't make it to the playoffs or they were out of the playoffs in the first round until he got better players, but he still had to become a better leader as well.
Right. So I went back and if you look at people, so Kobe makes the argument that he's this way because he's like what most people think, that these people don't want to get better because they're not coming in and shooting and whatever it is he believes that these other players need to be doing. If you look at his statistics, or anybody's statistic, their first 3 years is going to tell you what their career shooting average is going to be. So the idea that someone can put in all this time and they're going to be a much better shooter is ridiculous statistically. So the idea that you're going to separate yourself from them and isolate from them and you're going to lead that way and that's going to make them better is wrong too. Like you got to find other ways to lead people and motivate them. And just because they don't put in as much time as you think they should doesn't mean that they're a bad player. They're not being a professional. He never said that, oh, they were coming in late. Oh, they wasn't being. He didn't say that. He said that they wasn't putting as much time in the gym as me. But if you look at a lot of their shooting percentages, Kobe still didn't have a better shooting percentage than them. Even Paul Gasol has a higher true shooting percentage than Kobe.
Gotcha.
You get what I'm saying? Like, the numbers don't match up to his behavior and his rationale.
I mean, no, I don't disagree with you because, like you said, like I said, when we go look back, those years they weren't winning.
Exactly.
They were the Lakers. The Lakers just wasn't good like they were supposed to be doing those years. And once again, it wasn't until he got better talent. But within that time, where we do have to give Kobe credit for growing as a leader.
Oh yeah,
because we can see later Kobe when he didn't have that talent, he wasn't as much as an asshole then.
Thank you.
When he was younger.
And those teams were better.
Right, right. Teams, but you know, he had to also be willing to grow. So translate that back to the community. Those with rugged individualism have to be willing to shed that rugged individualism and be willing to grow and see the whole picture. If we want to win, because the Super Bowl was Sunday, right? So both of those teams made it there because they played as teams. The game was as good as it was because teams were playing as teams. But you don't make it to the championship. You don't win championships if you don't play as a team.